my goal is never to sell my Bitcoin, but to eventually spend or invest. Really, I want to invest in. But I'm going to wait for a time when I feel that that the world understands it, and that the world has finally embraced it. And I think that's probably 5 years from now, because this is kind of an interesting statistic. Women control 80% of retail spending, and until recently, about 1 in 16 Bitcoin wallets was owned by a woman. Now it's more like 1 in 8. When at retail, when the retailer can easily accept Bitcoin, which they kind of can now with OpenNode, they're going to realize that they can bring another 2% right to their bottom line, and they're going to encourage their customers to buy with Bitcoin. And the moment I can buy my food, my clothing, and my shelter all in Bitcoin, why do I need a political currency? Why would I want a fiat currency? I would just hold on to Bitcoin. I would sell all my fiat currency. And I think there will be a moment where there's kind of a run on fiat currency where it's like, we got to get out of this.
Is that what you think basically is like the end result here? There's a lot of people who hold Bitcoin. Some of them have very extreme views and kind of ultra bullish. Some of them are like, it's 1% of my portfolio. And, I look at it just like anything else. Your belief is that Bitcoin will replace fiat currencies in our lifetime?
Yeah. I at some point, you're not going to want a government-controlled currency because it does what this happens. You get a boom and then you get a bust, and then the Fed has to adjust. And the boom and bust is all determined by some political candidate who happened to win. Mm-hmm. And then they just say, okay, we're going to spend a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. And then you get a boom, and then all of a sudden you get a huge bust because the Fed has to say, wait, we're going into inflationary times. We got to raise interest rates. And so all of a sudden you've got a bust. Mm-hmm. There's something healthy about a boom and a bust, but I think you'll get that anyway. People will, be excited about something and then less excited and then excited again. I'll give you a kind of interesting example. Almost every technology goes through what I call the IS curve. I even branded it the Draper IS curve. Every industry kind of comes up and then gets hyped to the max. And then that's sort of the dot on the I, so the cursive I. And then it drops down and they say, oh God, well this, I can't buy anything with my credit card, and I can't do all these things that the internet has promised. I can't do anything with it. And so for years it sits there languishing. But while it's languishing, all these great engineers are working really hard, and they're coming up with a great way for us to experience this internet thing. And then it starts slowly creeping up like an S, and then it explodes for years. And then it flattens out as new technologies come along and go through their same IS curve. So
almost like a false start in the beginning. Like there's hype because people see what it could be, but the work hasn't been done yet. So you got to do the work, and then it takes off.
That's exactly right. So I think the same things happen with Bitcoin. You've had the big hype I, and by the way, the S is much higher than the I. I mean, you think about the top of the I had Amazon valued at maybe, I don't know, $100 million. Mm-hmm. And now it's worth a couple trillion.
2 trillion, something like that.
Yeah. So that's 1,000 times higher than the I was the S. Mm-hmm. And so people don't even realize how creative other people are. Mm-hmm. And they don't realize how big something like this can become. So the internet transformed communications, information, gaming, entertainment, media, taxis, hotels. And those are all pretty big industries. They're big, they have big influence and all that. But Bitcoin has the potential. Bitcoin with the blockchain, the smart contracts, the eventually DAOs, have the potential to transform the biggest industries in the world. That's all of commerce, finance. It doesn't just stop with currency. You're going to see major changes in real estate as companies like Proppy all of a sudden are the place you go for your title. So you probably wouldn't need title insurance anymore. Insurance is going to go through major changes. And what is government but a lot of insurance policies? And so I think government's going to go through major transformation. In fact, I'd say 80% of government is probably insurance. It's your healthcare insurance, your workman's comp, your welfare, your unemployment insurance, the pension, Social Security, all that stuff. That probably does make up about 80%. And so all of that with the Bitcoin economy could be virtual. And various governments could compete for your service to provide better service for you. And so I've seen a few governments that are being built up in space or 11 miles offshore or in free trade zones or whatever. And in fact, I'm a citizen of one of them.
Which one?
Oh God, I wish I'd remembered. He's going to be mad. The guy who created Aragon has also now created a new government, Luis Cuende. And anyway, he made me the 187th member of the government.
You were one of the first residents of, I think,
Yeah,
Estonia?
I was supposed to be number 1.
Okay.
But I ended up being number 3 because some New York Times editor got a chance to
be first. In exchange for a story?
Yeah, and then Jurvetson was second because I felt like, okay, Steve, you were your grandfather was the Estonian president. I'll give you number 2. And then I was number 3.
Okay.
And I really loved that. By the way, that government is so far ahead of our government in digitizing the government.
What are they doing?
Digitized voting, the whole economy's digitized. Your parking is digitized. Your taxes are digitized. Everything is online.